Right, Tom's got me doing this video, just a quickie. I fitted that with a 1.6 piston, the machined piston. Not quite sure if you could see that or not. And basically this is how I feel the shocks. This is just my method. Everybody else has got a different method. This is a used shock, it's just having a quick rebuild. And here we go. So 450 weight. I like the Aromax oil. Aromax is very consistent in all weathers, and that's what I use. So I draw the piston all the way down to the bottom. When I put the oil in, if you look, I try to stay consistent with no stopping. Now what I also do is I only fill 3/4, right? So I don't know if you can see that on that video or not, but I only fill 3/4, and I'll tell you why that is. Because the objective now for me is to have the piston come through the oil. Now, I'm not quite sure how much you can see on this on the video, right? But I just need to level out. Hopefully you can see that it's come through. And I just sort of work that to make sure that the oil has actually gone beyond the piston. In other words, underneath the piston, the barrel is full of oil. Once that's achieved, I draw the piston back into the oil, and once it's in the volume of oil, it doesn't really matter where it is. But what I've now guaranteed is that the oil is underneath the piston. Very simple from here on. Same method, and I fill until it just tries to come over the top. And as you can see, that's about all I need. I don't really need any more than that. A lot of people think you've got to fill it up and all this kind of stuff. No need. Now, there's this massive fallacy of people saying that you've got to wait for the bubbles and everything else. I would really love to do the test now, but maybe that's another conversation. But if I was to literally put that cap on, bleed it, pump it a few times, take it off, they'll be full of bubbles anyway. So I'm not too sure why people do that and why it's so important. The funny thing is, because people do that, I tend to sort of do it too. But as you can see, because there was no gaps in the way that I was filling up the chamber, there is no bubbles. I don't know how much you can see of that, but there are no bubbles whatsoever. It's crystal clear. So now I will put the cap on. Very simply, I will do this, and I will absolutely wind the cap tight. Right, so there you go, nice and tight. You could see that there is a lot of force there because there's air. I rest it on my towel. I get my 1.5 driver. The person's shock is too tight. There's no need to have that top screw tight. And all I do is I break it off the thread. So I felt it go click off the thread. I press down, so the weight of the shock absorber oozes all the oil up, as you could see. Once it's done that, all I do is just lock this off. Right, so once the shock is fully retracted into the barrel, I just pinch that up. There's no need, there really is no need for this to be tight. You've got an O-ring there, and that's the idea of the O-ring. The O-ring is what's going to make the seal, not you cranking it up tight. So all I do is just give that a little wipe. Now, you could clearly see that this shock is there or thereabouts, if you like. But watch this. If you replicate what is going to happen on the track, so you're pumping the shock absorber quite hard as you can really, maybe 15-20 times like I'm doing, all of a sudden you can see, look, we've got big pressure there. You can see that. It doesn't, look, in fact, even look at my finger, how much pressure I'm putting, it does not want to go back in. Because I've replicated the shock absorber on the track. Well, not as much, but certainly somewhat. And I call this, the shock has jacked up. Okay? So now, watch, pressure, release the screw a second time, and watch how much oil will come out still. Bear in mind we've already done this, right? It does not look much. Watch now as I put that back in. you can see the excess oil come out. And as that comes out, that now is there or thereabouts. Because when I do that, it's easily all the way home. And that's how I bleed my shocks. End of. Hope it helps. All the best.